there's obviously been a ton of hype in relation to the Bitcoin ETF. Is it going to get approved? There are so many filings for the Bitcoin ETF. What is it going to do to crypto markets? In this video, I want to take some realistic numbers that are now out in terms of how it will affect the BTC price if the ETF gets approved or multiple ETFs get approved. And I want to talk about targets for Bitcoin price relating to that data and how it plays into the Bitcoin cycles that we've been tracking ever so nicely. So what is up, everyone? Welcome to Crypto Capital Venture. Thanks for cruising through. Let's just dive right in. You know the headlines. US SEC accepts 6 spot Bitcoin ETF proposals for review. Now here we go. Before we even talk about what the potential price is, and there's actually really solid data. It's not overhyped data. The SEC published a document seeking public consultations last week on Bitcoin ETFs. The clock on the review is ticking, basically. This sets a deadline of 45 days, but that can be extended to as long as 240 days. So that's just some important context. Now, you're going to see this, NYDIG. This is New York Digital Investment Group. It's basically a Bitcoin company. This is the data that they've come up with in relation to what Bitcoin price might do in the case that we get the approval from the SEC. A Bitcoin spot ETF could more than double the nearly $28.8 billion assets under management held in Bitcoin funds in the US. So already there's around $28 billion assets under management with other Bitcoin funds. So the approval of Bitcoin ETF could double that, right? So around 30 billion more. What will that do to Bitcoin price? We see a lot, and we're going to look at the number in just a minute. We see a lot in terms of Bitcoin price, in terms of what is getting ready to happen in this next cycle. All the banks getting on board, all the ETF hype. We see the headlines, trillions coming into Bitcoin, trillions coming into crypto. And while the market cap of crypto as a whole likely in this next bull cycle will see multiple trillions of dollars coming in, it's a very hypey headline. This headline is different. We're talking about, okay, 30 billion. What will that do to price for Bitcoin? So let's go analyze the data. SEC will start reviewing the Bitcoin ETF, as we know. Analysts at asset management firm New York Digital Investment Group said that the approval of a Bitcoin ETF would sharply increase capital inflows and potentially drive Bitcoin's price closer to 50,000. Now, we're going to break down why they're saying that, but wait until we get to the Bitcoin chart, and we're going to really talk about from a cycle perspective why that number is so important, especially in the way that I've been doing my technical analysis over the years. So a spot Bitcoin ETF approval could open gates to $30 billion in capital inflow to Bitcoin. New York Digital Investment Group analysts estimate that the Bitcoin spot ETF is likely to see an incremental demand of $30 billion, drawing parallels between Bitcoin and gold. So they basically took the risk kind of appetite, or the volatility, I should say, of gold, and they paired it up against Bitcoin, and they adjusted, kind of what Bitcoin would do in an environment where we have billions and billions and billions of dollars coming in as it relates to gold. So they kind of took the volatility, they balanced it out, and they came up with this prediction in terms of Bitcoin price. Every $1 of asset under management could drive up Bitcoin's market cap by $10. So to put it very simply, there's the chart, there's their chart, Bitcoin price sensitivity. According to the chart, and taking into account Bitcoin's current price of around 30,500, the addition of a $25 billion capital inflow to assets under management could push Bitcoin price to more than $43,000, closer to $50,000. I think that's a very realistic, kind of speculative at the same time, outlook for Bitcoin. Let's talk about why that's so important. As you all know, I cover through these cycles the Bitcoin bull market doors, right? So just to show you this, Bitcoin in the last cycle of 2017 high to the 2018 bear market low, we had this Fibonacci that we were tracking. I have this new indicator. It's in beta testing right now, but you can see it actually has on there entering bull market doors, breaking bull market doors. It's a really key area for me as I do my technical analysis. Now, check this out. The indicator has the speculative bull market doors up here. It's around $48,000 to around $58,000. That becomes so interesting to me now that we have this Bitcoin ETF narrative in play, because what did we just say? They're speculating $43,000 closer to $50,000. That falls right in line with our bull market doors. Why that's really interesting is because look at the time frame of where we are in Bitcoin cycles. Bitcoin halving still got a little bit of a ways to go, but we're getting there. And notice where the Bitcoin bull market doors previously have been broken, right? So last bull cycle, it was post the 2020 halving. The cycle before that, look at the bull market doors being broken post 2016 halving. So speculatively, we can't say if there's consistency on these Bitcoin charts that these doors will be broken before the halving. But now that we have this new dynamic of the Bitcoin ETFs, it's going to be very, very telling to see what happens, because we know in the last cycle coming out of the bear cycle, Bitcoin actually tested the bull market door area, right? And failed there. Is Bitcoin going to test this area prior to the halving? And then when we really get this influx of capital, maybe via ETFs, if they get approved, this is all if they get approved, is this the case for the Bitcoin bull market doors to be broken? What is kind of compelling to me is the fact that before, when Bitcoin bull market doors were being broken, and even all the way back here, we didn't have this environment. And this is speculating if. This is only if the SEC approves an ETF. That's a big if. We didn't have this environment where that's happening, right? So now we have all this institutional money, and then we have all of the other things that kind of came into play in the last bull markets. That's kind of the retail hype of it all, the media coverage of a Bitcoin bull market. There could be a lot of bullish confluence of all of these narratives coming into play that could absolutely just explode Bitcoin price. So yeah, the ETF alone, from a capital inflow type of perspective, could bring Bitcoin right to those bull market doors. But what happens at those bull market doors, and would it happen before or after the Bitcoin halving? That's something that I will very much be tracking. But I just thought this was another really cool piece of data to track. Who knows in terms of the time frame? We know what the time frame is. It's 45 days is the deadline, but they can extend that to as long as 240 days. And then that's interesting, because when we look at the time frame until the next Bitcoin halving, I'm not sure this Bitcoin halving is perfectly aligned with the exact date. It kind of changes, but look at this, 250 to 300 days until the next Bitcoin halving. So it is going to be very fun to watch how all of this plays out. But the realistic price point of, that $43,000 to $50,000, that's already kind of built into the macro growth of Bitcoin. And now that we have this potential ETF approval playing into that exact number, these charts on Bitcoin and the cycles of crypto in general become really cool, really exciting to watch. And that's what we'll be tracking, everybody. Let me know your thoughts out there, everybody. If you're not a subscriber, please hit that subscribe. Your support really just means a ton to me as I continue to grow this channel. And I will see you all in the next video. God bless.